Welcome back. You are watching The Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. Guess what? There's a lot to talk about in the country right now. All the way from hunger to security levels in the country to whatever is going on in the political economy in the country to whatever is going on tomorrow as well. In the sense of Valentine's, we don't hear about Valentine's, the prayers to address the issues in the country. Guess what? You have a religious president, so headlines like this are not going to be very uncommon. So we're going to also weigh into that, helping us then into that conversation. We are joined by Anita Nkirote. How are you doing, Anita?
Asante sana.
Happy to have you around. We're also joined by Esperance Okoth. Okoth, how are you doing? Fantastic. Now, there's a lot of issues then that we are going to jump into this morning in as regards our political economy in the country. And this one, I want to dial it back a little bit to what happened last week. Now, we as the media have been put on the spot. We jumped into a story that indeed is neither here nor there. Now, we're going to run with that story later on in the day so that we show you exactly what the government has spoken about it. For us, it is now important for us to pick that story today. Then, number one, these are the details. There was a claim by the Azimio coalition, majority of those leaders, that indeed the government was going after former CSs, so that the CSs who served in former retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's government. In fact, their lawyer, Danson Omari, was on quote saying that they have been advised to go in and introduce anticipatory bailouts. Knowing very well what that means, that in case they are arrested, then they will not be left in jail until their matters are heard. That looked credible. Raila Amolo Odinga was there at the wee hours of the night. Yes, we do have that on record. But then the government agencies came out and claimed, where are you getting these details from? We do not know. That's why we're here. So let me start with you, Nkirote.
Yes.
The Media Council of Kenya is saying, all those media outlets that ran that story, number one, where were your sources? Where were the pictures? In fact, they're going to conduct an audit later on to decide what they're going to do with those media houses that went with that story.
Yes.
Because according to the Media Council of Kenya, when that particular event happens, number one, you got to go in and consult the Ministry Interior. You got to go in and talk to the heads of the police forces in the country. But then you ran with that story, indeed, based on what they're saying, hearsay. It was not complete. The question that we're asking this morning then is, who is fooling whom? The Azimio leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, was present. The lawyer was present. From the setup, it looked like a credible story. Turns out, the government is saying, we don't know what it is you're talking about.
Yes.
Are we what are we talking about? I don't even know the question I'm supposed to ask around this story.
For me, it's crystal clear. What I say is, if it's not documented, it simply did not happen, especially in the era of social media. I mean, even if this guy falls here right now, there'll be pictures, evidence. Where is the evidence? And I'm loving the new branded MCK because it's putting media houses on its toes. You cannot just run stories. You have to get a quote. Any story you run, there's a ministry involved, there's a government agency involved. Get credible sources. And we also saw the CS, Kedure Kendeke, did a presser. He says, me, I'm dealing with banditry in Turkana and the likes. There's nobody, no police force who has gone there to harass anybody. So for me, I'm wondering where is this coming from? At first I was like, maybe. Maybe it could have happened. But then when there was no evidence, even the neighbors, surely even there was no neighbors to come and check on it. So for me, I really found it funny. And I'm really glad MCK came out and said, I mean, this story is hogwash.
Hold on.
Yes.
When you look at how the setup was, Matiang'i is on court saying that I've received intel that they're going to come for me. Raila Amolo Odinga was there in the wee hours of the night. The lawyer was also called to be present. The question that we kept on asking is, do you think that the opposition now has been left to that kind of game? Let's play this game. The other question that was placed on the table is, a man of Raila Amolo Odinga's stature, does he need this kind of gimmicks to prove a point? Because even right now, when he keeps on calling for rallies, it is full to the brim. He doesn't need to do that if he's going to prove a point then.
Yes.
Is that where the story starts to become believable?
For me, I feel like there's something that meets more, there's something more to the story, but they're trying to camouflage or use indirect routes. I don't know what it is, but it will come out. But I don't think anybody is after anybody at this particular point in time.
Would you say that? But would you expect the government to say, well, we are not after them? The government would essentially say, no, we are not after them. The
government is after the economy and taxpayers and, and big fish taxpayers. No, I don't think they're after. I think that's hogwash. It's neither here nor there.
Okoth, I'll be coming back to you shortly on this.
Yes.
Now, another area that we're looking at this particular story is when indeed the lawyer is present, says that we have been advised to run in and introduce anticipatory bail.
Yes.
Matiang'i did speak to the court. He was recorded a statement and said that, well, they came over. Who are we to believe? Because then if the Media Council of Kenya starts saying, well, that story that you told, it was not a good story, it was an incomplete story, is the Media Council of Kenya then pitting us against what the government is saying? Because for us, our responsibility, Nkirote, is to say, well, Raila Amolo Odinga has said A, B, C, D. Former CS Interior, Fred Matiang'i has said A, B, C, D. The lawyer, Danson Omari, has said A, B, C, D. In fact, Matiang'i has gone to court and recorded a statement that says A, B, C, D. In fact, the story was allegedly, because we didn't see them as well.
Yes.
Why do we have to respond to that kind of story?
For me, I'll still blame the media because,
really?
if you look at it, you're actually telling, and you mentioned it perfectly clear. It's Matiang'i, his lawyer, and somebody he voted for in the last election defending him. So where is the voice of the PS Interior? Where is the voice of the CS Interior? Where is actually the evidence? Because you cannot just say people were after you, and there's no further to that. Let me even add in the element of the judiciary. When you do the anticipatory bail and you say A, B, C, D, we also should have seen the court. We just saw, I think, the video of him give. If there was a video with him going to claim the anticipatory bail, then I expect the same strength. When the police was there, we should have seen videos. We don't live in a lacuna. It's the 21st century. Even the neighbors would have noticed. Especially, we are talking at a time, you remember, with the Magoa incident, and then the next thing was the Matiang'i incident. People were like, we are seeing cars, blah, 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 blah. Where are the pictures? Where is the evidence? Someone must have seen an iota of it. It can't be that difficult. It totally cannot be that difficult, especially in the 21st century. And for me, I say, if it was not documented, it never happened.
Isn't it? Guess what? Once we come back, I just want to take a tiny breather and introduce Okoth then to the conversation. So we see, do we have to respond to the story that we did as the media? Because the question is going to be, yes, we've been called. That's how we rely. Who's calling us? There's me outside is calling us to Dr. Fred Matiang'i's house. What's going on? Allegedly, the guys who are after me. Should we not report that? Because that's exactly what's going on. We spoke to the Azimio leader, Raila Amolo Odinga. We spoke to the lawyer present. We spoke to the alleged victim. Why do we have to defend ourselves yet again to the Media Council of Kenya? Once we come back here, remember the hashtag is the Morning Brit at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. Who is falling home?
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution, or a university, and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 011 0430 158, 011 0430 158, or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke.
Good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experience,
What's going on? Niko na rafiki yake Musa.
Adam.
Huyu msichana wa watu, wewe umempangia nini?
Nani?
Lazima tujue kwa jambo linalofuatia kwetu ni ndoa.
Nini?
Ndoa yetu.
Doris, unaongea nini?
Pia, vile hii kazi ilivyo muhimu kwako wewe, hata mimi halikadhalika ni muhimu.
Sitoshe, kuna mtu hivi sasa anatafuta atakula nini leo.
Mama, nimesoma mama, nimehitimu mama, na vyeti vyote. Kwa nini naishi maisha kweli?
Wewe si family hapa. Kuzaa si kama kwenda haja.
The man!
Usiwahi cheza na mboga yangu. Na unafuata nani? Usisikuone ukinifuata. Nimekwambia una shares kwa hii kuku.
You got the roof, man. Hebu kwanza rudi ndani ufresh hiyo choo na make sure umespray.
Juli, kwani wewe? Hii tumbo yako mimi najua inaweza ingiza kila kitu. Hata chuma nikishiaga nikupea hata plastic najua utakula. Kwani leo kunaendaje? Kuna kitu sielewi.
Kabisa Mluya. Yaani umeamua kulala uchi.
Sasa kama hakuna ile nguo inanitosha unataka nifanye aje?
Because you are fat.
Sasa ukiongelea mimi ati fat. Na Julie tutasemaje?
Kuja.
Kiangazi.
Revival Sanctuary School is open for 2023 admission. We offer CBC classes from playgroup PP1, PP2, grade 1 to 6, and the 844 curriculum from standard 7 to 8. Do not miss out the opportunity. Create the best future for your child today. Revival Sanctuary School prepares and strive to excel.
michezo na wachezaji, matukio na matokeo uwanjani. Tumejifunga kibwebwe kukuletea mbwembwe, si mazungumzo ya kusisimua. Ndiyo maana safu ya spoti ipo hapa kwa ajili yako. ZFC! Nami hapa nahodha Robert Chacha, si suisui, na kuandalia kipindi bomba cha safu ya spoti kila siku ya Jumamosi kuanzia saa 7:30 ndani ya runinga nambari 1 ya michezo Lookuptv.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
What's going on? Niko na rafiki yake Musa.
Adam. Huyu msichana watu wewe umempangia nini?
Nani?
Lazima tujue kwa jambo linalofuatia kwetu ni ndoa.
Nini?
Ndoa hii.
Doris, unaongea nini?
Pia, vile hii kazi ilivyo muhimu kwako wewe, hata mimi halikadhalika ni muhimu.
Sitoshi. Kuna mtu hivi sasa anatafuta atakula nini leo?
Mama, nimesoma mama, nimehitimu mama, na vyeti vyote. Kwa nini naishi maisha kweli?
Wewe si family hapa. Kuzaa si kama kwenda haja.
The man.
Good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experience,
Revival Sanctuary School is open for 2023 admission. We offer CBC classes from playgroup, PP1, PP2, grade 1 to 6, and the 844 curriculum from standard 7 to 8. Do not miss out the opportunity. Create the best future for your child today. Revival Sanctuary School prepares and strive to excel.
Asante. Karibuni. Tena.
Nimeshukuru Loto sana kwa kuja kwetu kutuletea miti kwa sababu hapa mazingira ni ya maana kwetu.
When you plant a tree, it will dry out in dry conditions. So the seed balls are protected so that they're able to withstand the dry weather. So what we want to do is to make sure that in Baringo today we're doing 100,000 trees, and our aim is to make sure that regardless of what is happening, we know there's a lot of charcoal burning in the area. So we want to talk to them and tell them, as much as they are getting their livelihoods from the charcoal, they need to plant trees. One, for the environment. We've seen the Kerio Valley, we've seen the destruction that is going on for them cutting trees. So we're telling them, for every tree that you cut, if you need to cut, then at least plant 2.
Unasikiza, ukikata moja ongeza zingine 3, kwa sababu tunataka kushughulika kuhakikisha kwamba hamna mambo ya ukame tena. Panda miti. Kumbuka yote haya ni kwa hisani ya Loto Foundation, na wewe ndio umefanikisha shughuli hii.
Welcome back. You are still watching The Morning Drift. This is our review this morning on exactly what is happening in the country in terms of political economy. All right, just before we go on a break, we're weighing on the issue of the validity of the stories that we carried about the alleged Matiang'i siege. Okoth, let me get your sentiments as well on that. Do you think that the media now really has the weight to respond to whatever happened last week?
Yeah, because they are the third estate. We need the media, and the media did well in telling people because, as you said, it was alleged.
Yes.
You know, and we've seen the media board respond to that and claim that they may have not happened. We've also seen the cabinet secretary say that did not happen. However, I'd still want to ask us this question. Raila Odinga does not need such a clout to get audience. He can always get audience anytime, anywhere. So where there is smoke, there must have been fire at that particular night. We also saw the lawyer Danstan Omari, and if you are a student of body language and facial expression, you could tell there, from how he spoke, there must have been, you know, you can fake things, but you cannot fake your emotions to the extent that he was doing it. So, and for me, this whole situation, what I'm learning from it is that the fluidity of life, you know, imagine it's 2023 and Matiang'i is going for anticipatory bail. See how life can be.
So you're saying that there has to be a smoke somewhere, isn't there? And that's the smoke that the Media Council of Kenya doesn't want us to read into before we prove it.
That is it. That's what I'm saying. For that night, we are not the courts, but for this to be valid, and because there is the story that is told of the child that cried wolf when they'd gone too hard and there was no wolf. People used to come and everything. As my sister here had mentioned, I think it's in order. We live in an era of technology. I don't want to imagine, as for somebody who's served as one of the top people in this country, Matiang'i, where he comes from, there must be some CCTVs and surveillance cameras. You see, the best he can do, I mean, for Kenyans to also find closure, because we're also vested in that story.
Release
can we have the CCTV footages? And that
like
would, the media would be vindicated.
Yes.
And, you know, we'd take him serious next time. And, you know, it's when you look at the timing of that, it was on a Friday in the evening. And these are the times and days that I think Miguna was deported at such a time. It was very late or early in the morning.
Yes.
And Jimmy Wanjigi's issues were also late in the night. So it's from all those things, I mean, these are things that could have happened. But now we need to see, you know, seeing is believing. Thank you.
That's it. Okay. Now, I just want to pick your quick sentiments on that as well, Nkirote, so that we get done with that particular one. If you look at the conduct of the Kenya Kwanza administration, and I want to take you back to two principles, that is Rigathi Gachagua and William Ruto. I mean, if you look into issues of downscaling security, all right, those are the news that we were met with first. Also the same issue, the security detail for Uhuru Kenyatta was also downscaled as well.
Yes.
And then immediately after that, you get the news of I'm under siege. For any other person looking from outside, I mean, it's a well-scripted script. I know I have to think twice. That's why the story is a bit believable. So for any other Kenyan watching it right now, what do you read into the downscaling of security? I know there are explanations that it's within law. We can actually put it from this number to a specific number. Fine. Some of them have even come out and say, well, we don't need that security. We are retired.
Yes.
But if you look at the conduct, if you look at the body language and the way that Rigathi Gachagua and the president, Dr. William Ruto, have been speaking, do you think that indeed that's where they're channeling some of their energies into? Disappointing those who heavily disappointed them in the run-in to their August elections?
Yeah, I look at it at that lens, I'd say yes. I mean, these are the people who, if you remember the debate, as she had alluded to, Rigathi Gachagwa's debate, he kept on saying on and on how he was on Friday. They came for him, his sons were there, they saw him without a shirt or something, and they took him away, they froze his money, etc. And for me, he seemed to say that we are very good people, we will forgive you, we will not come back. But then what I'm seeing is like, people actually, in this country, I think you must always revisit. People say they won't revisit, but the way it looks like, yeah, I'm coming back for all you took away from me. When it comes to Matiang'i, I feel like any other ordinary citizen protected under Chapter 4 of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that's the maximum that we can give Matiang'i. But having been a CS, I presume for 10 years, he should have his own security. When it comes to security, he should be protected as much as you, myself, and her are protected. But for a former president, as a form of goodwill, because you'll also become a former president, it's a common courtesy. A former president is actually protected in the Constitution. Even the estates of Moi Kibaki, the Moi family, the Kenyatta family are protected. So for a live former president who you, by the way, appointed to speak on matters security as well, in the region, requires even more security, because when he's going to negotiate in Congo, Bukavu, I see him every other day, meetings in Safari Park. He not only requires security internally, but also from external threat. So from that, it's a no-brainer. Not only does he need security internally, but also externally. So for you to, for the rest, they can do without. And as she had alluded earlier with all the Matiang'i claims, these people, one, they live in leafy suburbs. Two, we all know in these leafy suburbs, there are cameras. They have personal cameras. Three, we've all seen when you walk, even when I came here, you see there, KK security, blah, blah, blah. This type of, not to advertise any security, but you usually see this security company, surely media, even the security company could not have said then. You should have quoted. Give us a quote from the media. And you say, you know, the personal bodyguard. Then one of the bodyguards from an independent security company said ABCD. So for me, the whole thing with security, for the rest of the people, is as good as it goes as per Chapter 4 of the Constitution. But for a person who you've appointed an envoy, I mean, even the UN, even the UN people who are around this town, they are heavily protected. So for a former president who is also a security advisor, come on, you cannot withdraw the security the way you want. It's even just common sense.
All right. Now, I just want us to move into the next particular issue that I want us to talk about again this morning, the politics of the struggle now between the opposition government and the Kenya Kwanza government. And I want us to go back to Raila Amolo Odinga's speech yesterday, this weekend on Saturday, in a rally that he held after attending the burial ceremony of the former CS Education, George Magoha. Let's listen into that story, then come back, because indeed it carries a lot of weight in as much as how this week and the struggle that we've seen between the opposition and the Kenya Kwanza government is going to shape. Let's take a look.
The Azimio Supremo Raila Odinga on Sunday spearheaded the Azimio anti-government rally in Busia County. The Azimio leader used the platform to send his message to his supporters as he accused President William Ruto of paralyzing the opposition by buying Azimio MPs.
Sasa wameingia kwa bunge, wanaanza sasa kunadi wa bunge, wamepelekwa kwa mnada, ati wewe unaitwa Ikulu, atakwenda njoo Ikulu, ationgea juu ya mambo ya maendeleo. Kenda kule, hapo 50,000, 100,000. Anasema mimi nilienda kuongea mambo ya maendeleo ya constituency yangu. Bure. Uongo.
However, Odinga maintained that the Azimio coalition will remain strong and united, as he fired a salvo at some Azimio MPs who visited the President William Ruto at the State House last week.
Katiba mpya imeweka mamlaka ya kugawanya pesa ya maendeleo kwa mkono ya bunge. Bunge ni siku hizi inatengeneza bajeti, sio rais, sio treasury kama zamani.
Hiyo sahau. Ile nataka kukuambia hivi na wabunge wako hapa. Ile kiti tulikuwa tumepatia mama naitwa Sabina ati yawe whip ya Azimio, hiyo sasa kuisha. Na hawa wabunge wako na kazi kuhakikisha kwamba Sabina is not a whip kuanzia Tuesday ya Azimio.
The Azimio politicians maintain that they does not recognize William Ruto as the president, as they accused him of overtaxing Kenyans, whose livelihood have already been hit hard by the high cost of living.
Wamepora chakula yako, elimu ya mtoto wako, wamepora pesa yako ya matibabu, na bado wanaendelea kupora kila pande. Umeona kwa miezi 5 ile kasi kubwa wamefanya ni ya kujiondolea mashtaka ya wizi, ya uporaji, ukora wa aina yote.
Wanatumia kanisa kuja kutusi familia ya Kenyatta. Mbele ya madhabahu leo wametusi Mama Ngina, wanatusi Uhuru Kenyatta. Sisi leo nimesikia wanasema ati vengeance is not in their manifesto ya Kenya Kwanza.
That's the conversation now within the party. But you see, the conversation is not exactly what's going on within the Azimio party. It is what is going on at the president's side. The move to what is seemingly absolute power. Okoth, I want to start with you from this perspective. Jalango won Felix Odwor, Langata Member of Parliament, was called upon by the president to go to State House and talk what he's calling development. Again, we haven't seen it. There's a report that's according to him. As a party member for ODM, which is essentially the strongest party within the Kenya Kwanza government, within the Azimio coalition, should have he sought permission from the party leader first before going to attend that particular meeting with the president?
I think as long as we continue playing politics that lack principles, we'll always have these issues as a country. Mm-hmm. Emotional intelligence and social intelligence dictates that, you see, Jalango was going to the president at a time when the Azimio coalition were just coming from an election that they lost, yes, and contested, and 2, they just planning their rallies to get the president out of the seat, as they say it. So for me, I want to believe that that was a bad move by Jalango, and the fact that, you know, sometimes silence is eloquence. And the fact that, I'm sorry I have to say this, Jalango is my guy. So, and the fact that, you know, he has had to come out and, you know, speak about it, it's so bad. It was bad because that is why you saw when guys went to Manzoni, people are not happy with it. When you say you've gone to the president to talk development, you know, those are things that used to happen when all power belonged to the president. Right now, the constituency has its funds.
Yes.
Yeah. The county has some funds that support the constituency too.
Yes.
So really, I think that was a tactical mistake at this point.
From Jalango's side, yeah.
From Jalango's side, and we know that in the ODM party and Azimio, unless Baba does the handshake, yes, you all should, you know. So his mistake was going before Baba goes.
Sir, but just before I cross over to Nkirote as well, to weigh in on exactly that move from Jalango.
Yeah.
At this time again, we're now seeing exactly the cracks within the coalition start to appear. A lot of Jubilee Party members have defected again to the Kenya Kwanza side. Essentially, they're saying we want to work with the president, but we do know what that means. You are essentially defecting to the Kenya Kwanza side because you're not speaking the same language as your party leader. Case in point, now there are moves again, you can hear there from Jeremiah Kioi, who's saying, well, that position that you wanted to give the likes of Sabina Chege as the chief whip, take it, strip it off. Let it go completely. Let's start charting our own way forward. They met on Friday in Machakos. We didn't know exactly what it is they spoke about in that closed-door meeting, but you like to think it is to chart the way forward for the Azimio Party coalition. Here's the thing. Question is this. Do you believe that indeed the Azimio Party is as intact as Raila Amolo Odinga is saying?
No, it isn't. How many coalitions have we had since, say, 2013? You realize that coalitions,
yes,
like political parties, are formed to capture power. When you fail to capture power, and that's why I'll still insist, we do not play politics of principles in this country. That these are my ideals and I want to stick to it. I'll stick to this party, whether we're in government or not, because I subscribe to its values and ideals. I'm now a life member of this party. You see, if, say, the US is a good example. If I'm a Democrat till I die because I believe in the values of... But now in Kenya, we have, people keep on changing political parties.
Yes.
Let me ask you, if the ODM party was founded in 2004, 2005 in the run to the referendum, they had their principles and values and mission, and it remains. Why would I move from ODM to UDA to Jubilee? You know, you become, I don't want to say a political prostitute. It means we have gaps. And that's what I'm saying, Azimio coalition, it failed on its mandate, that was to capture power.
Yes.
When you look, you know, for the first time, the people who've never been in opposition have found themselves in somebody like Eugene Wamalwa. You know, he's never been in opposition and now he has to be there.
Yes.
And for me, I'd want to be gentle on the people, like Kanini Kega and Sabina Chege, because they put their careers on the line because of the elections. They put their careers on the line. Yeah, they were not voted because they went to... Raila Odinga has not been voted in central Kenya, but this time they were able to give us good numbers. You know, I speak as a daughter of Raila. So they gave us good numbers. So I'd really want to be gentle on him. He doesn't know how it feels like to be on the cold. So should he want to exit? For me, I think Azimio would... It's done. We're just in denial. But in the run to the next election,
yes,
new people are going to come. The people who will leave the Kenya Kwanza side because of disappointment and move this side or unmet expectations. And the people would also leave this side,
yes,
in pursuit of greener pastures. Because right now, as we know, the economy is doing badly. People are hungry and people just want to feed. So where the bread is buttered at this point, let's allow them to grow.
Pretty much. And you see the way she ended it there. That's exactly what I want to pick it up from. So she's saying that people will want to cross to either camp. They're going to do that. If you look at today's Nation headline, it reads, Ruto's move to absolute power. It's painting the picture of, can I take it all in the run-in to 2027? Because we do know that's what it is now.
Yes.
Is that what it is? Is that why we're seeing the president out and out calling members of the Azimio coalition into meetings? Well, we're seeing him push the Jubilee members back to the Kenya Kwanza government on the promise of sustainability. Stay here, we're the ones who are running the government, we're gonna get you a place. The move to absolute power. The National House is coming back today.
I'll get back to that. But first, I want to take you back to 1984. And there's this guy called George Orwell, and he writes a book, Animal Farm.
Animal Farm.
And where he talks about, he says, we are all animals, but some animals
are
more equal or are more animals than others.
Yes.
Which begs me or brings me to this question. I think in just one of these weekends, governors had a meeting with the presidency.
Yes.
Iala MPs, when Iala MPs were about to go to Arusha, they had a meeting.
Yes.
I think it's Winnie Odinga only who didn't show up. Maybe Winnie, I don't know if Kennedy Kalonzo showed up. But the MPs showed up, Kanini Kega showed up, and the rest. So my question is, I want to see the same strength. The way you are so hard, you're very hard on members of parliament. Why aren't you so hard on governors? Is it a situation whereby some animals are more... for example, yesterday, Natembeya has been trending. Natembeya versus the DP,
yes,
right?
Yes.
When he talked about the security issues, etc., which looked like Natembeya followed the DP to a prayer rally in Nakuru. My question is, isn't this the same George Natembeya who's in the same party with Eugene Wamalwa? Aren't you seeing that dynamic? Why are you harassing members of parliament? Why are you harassing members of parliament?
If you look at the first, just as you continue with your sentence, if you look at the first time that Ruto went to Kisumu,
yes,
you saw the reception that he got. Wasn't good.
Yes, the first time.
The first time wasn't good.
Yes.
Some members actually bluntly refused to actually go and welcome him.
Yeah.
Look at the second time.
Yes.
They had to wait for Raila Amolo Odinga to speak. Raila actually did say, the president is coming over. Please, could you accord him a state welcome? And you see what he got this time.
Yeah.
Good welcome. When met promises of development. Is that what Raila Amolo Odinga was expecting this time? That before you make any move, we're trying to move together as a coalition.
Yes.
And I want to ask you this question. Do you believe that Jalango, a first-time member of parliament, would have ascended to that seat if he were not running on an ODM party ticket in Langata? Basing your answer on that, then, should have consulted the party leader, because we do have movements, like Okoth is saying, rallies within the country at a time when they're disapproving what the president is doing, but you decide to unmit him without his permission.
You know, I think Okoth might be privy, now that she said she's daughters of Raila, she might be privy to the ODM. I'm assuming she must have been an ODM member, or must have been privy to the constitution of ODM and how ODM conducts its affairs. Because before you deal, every political party has its own handbook, like a manifesto on how they deal with issues, which is actually registered at the ORPP.
Yes.
So whenever you have conflicts, whenever you have issues, before you bring it to the court of public opinion, it's actually expected that you had your own internal kamukunji, where the board, the NEC leadership and the board, or you have a dispute tribunal, and you could have called this guy and told him, hey, what you did. So I'm wondering, in between that, you know, short span, between Jalango going to see the presidency, between you having the Manzoni meeting, in between you, was there really like some sort of due process, or it's you made a mistake and now we are going to take you to the court of public opinion? Okay, coming back to the same Jalango who vied on an ODM ticket, who I believe, of course, if he would not have vied on an ODM ticket, he could not have gotten the chance. When they say that in the meeting they spoke about national development, which you say Kanini Kega has other wherever. One of the biggest housing project and biggest housing menace is actually in Langata. If you remember the whole forest issues.
Yes.
So for me, if Jalango says it, Jalango must sit at the table. Otherwise, decisions regarding where part of his constituency sits will be made, and he will not be there. He will not be there to say, you guys, we had to vacate because this property standing on is not yours. For me, I would say it will not be a wise move.
Yes.
Because the role of a politician, fine, it's the political party that takes you there. But the political party first believed that you had numbers. They believed that you could actually rally. Otherwise, anybody else in the street could have gotten ODM or Kenya Kwanza ticket.
Despite the conversation that if you really wanted to win the election, if you want to win an election in Nairobi, just sing Baba and run on an ODM ticket. It's been like that for a couple of years now.
Yes. But they're also not giving tickets to anybody. They could have given that ticket to any. They gave it to Jalango, one, because let's even forget about his celebrity status. They assume that he did his homework. He went door to door, and he actually has a certain number of following. So for me, it's quid pro quo. I only gave you this ticket because I also know that you have numbers. And one of the things that I rarely quote Gachagua, but one of the things I quote him on, and this is in regards to when she was talking about the central people. You know, you are daughters of Raila,
Yes.
and me, I was daughters of the mountain. Yes. So us as daughters of the mountain, and we supported Baba completely. But what Gachagua kept on saying, and he told Kanini Kega, and he told Sabina Chege, and he told Jeremiah Kioni, he told all these honorables, the last day of election period is not the day you go to listen to your superiors. The days of listening to your superiors are also important, but the most important thing, you go listen to your people, the people who elected you, and the direction they want to go. The Kenyan people today, their issues are economics. The Kenyan people today, their issues are development.
Yes.
As a member of parliament, I expect my member of parliament, fine, I have CDF, but there is no day that Jalango CDF allows him to do anything to do with housing. He will do educational projects. He will give bursaries to children. But when it comes to housing and consultation, I don't know if Korir got PS housing.
Yes.
He got PS housing.
Yes.
Why do you think Korir got PS housing and he was the former MP, Langata? Because the biggest issue affecting Langata today is housing.
Which is true.
So he must negotiate with the government. Yes, he'll provide bursaries, etc. But then, and we know resources are limited, and they'll never be complete. For governors, of course, why are we not asking governors questions? Because they have to talk to the national government no matter what. There is the COG that is there to foster that. There's intergovernmental relations.
Yes.
But when it comes to legislatures, to the MPs must actually foster that relationship with the executive. Now coming to your question, I was actually just responding to what she had alluded to. When it comes to your question about this headline, Ruto on the path to absolute power, the writing is crystal clear on the wall. We are actually headed to absolute power, which corrupts absolutely.
Yes.
I'll give you 4 dimensions.
Yes.
Number 1,
Yes,
I'll talk about the church.
I'll
talk about the church. Look at the church in the 90s, and we are all young people here, where we used to have Kina Timothy Njoya, very strong politicians, very strong clergymen who talk about church and actually criticize the government. Today, what do we have? We have rallies every Sunday. Why? If you want to win over, especially a country that is, quote unquote, 90% Christian, is make sure you go to the church every day. On 14th, give people an option tomorrow, to you gentlemen, you and you over there. Tell them you're either choosing men's conference or come to our national prayer breakfast.
Yes.
So you create some sort of religion. I don't want to call it cultism, but it's very funny. Base tax, when it's coming to tax, you're talking about Caesar. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Number 1. Number 4. Fourth estate, I'll talk to you about, we are just from talking about the MCK drama in the letter, who said what, and you ask yourself, you're asking yourself, could Matiang'i also come out of the blue and say this, or there is more than meets the eye?
Yes.
So I don't even want to go into details into the media houses. You know how media houses are performing currently. You know every other day they are firing people. You know that some media houses have not paid employees. Why? The economy is not doing well, and they're not generating business from government because government is the biggest. Let's go to the legislature. They're doing a dance. They're doing a Zumba dance now with the executive. Even and the complaints now that we are just talking about Kina Kanini Kega, about Kina Sabina Chege.
Yes.
I mean, there's no legislature. There's no oversight. If you look at the Hansard, when was the last time you saw serious oversight? The likes of Kina Babu na Mwamba rose when they were in the legislature and they were giving very serious oversight. Now we can't say we have oversight. Then we go over to the judiciary. When I look at the judiciary, I'll just take, it's not part of the judiciary, but maybe the ODPP. The way cases are dropping left, right, and center. And you remember when they came, it was a lot of mojo. Now high-level cases, especially just to do with the cabinet. Remember cases that CS Linturi had?
Yes.
Remember cases that Aisha Jumwa had? I mean, the cabinet is as clean as it can get currently where we are. These people don't have cases, and if they have cases, the cases are their way out. So I just mentioned 4 institutions. I mentioned the judiciary. These are people who are supposed to keep checks and balances. And then I mentioned the court of public opinion, which would be the religion. Which clergy do you know today that is saying, I don't want politics inside my pulpit? Nobody.
Yes.
Where did the likes of Timothy Njoya go? Where are their predecessors? God rest his soul in peace, Archbishop Ndingi Mwananzeki.
Yes.
Where are they? We don't have those people who are... So, for me, we are headed there, and I don't know who's going to get us out.
Okoth, I don't know how we've burnt our time. We only have 2 minutes left on this.
Huh? Oh, no.
I also don't get it. Could you please respond to this one before we step up?
As she's justifying that Ruto is on the path to absolute power and painting the writings crystal clear on the wall, now you realize why Azimio and ODM party had to be bothered when one of them went to parliament.
Yes.
Because, as you said, religion, we cannot pray to get things in order. It doesn't work that way. I'm currently reading Yuval Noah Harari's Homo Deus.
Yes.
And he says in the 18th century, people prayed. If we had COVID striking people in the 1800s, people would have died because they think it's the gods that have struck them. But right now, our economy doesn't need prayers. The cost of living we need people to get working. And so we realize that religion has been used to blackmail us as a people and touch not the anointed that way. And you see, if it's working for them, we're losing. Religion is one of the things that gave the president the powers, because people don't want to touch the anointed of the Lord. So for me, the writings are clear and on the wall, but we'd still want to give them a benefit of doubt.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and that is why we have to have a strong opposition to keep the government on check. If anybody thinks they want to cross over, the best to move to Kenya Kwanza, the best should to leave, for those who are elected, resign from your party and seek a fresh mandate from the people, because the people who just were voted by virtue of being in Ruto's camp, by virtue of being in Raila's camp. So these are issues that we need to learn to embrace as a people. If you think, if I'm not satisfied with my party, go resign, seek a fresh mandate for the people, and be the other side. Let us not be people who are sitting on the fence. It doesn't work that way in politics. You're either this side or that side.
Fully this side.
Thank you.
Pretty much. Guys, I don't know. Guess what? I'll be calling you back again Monday. That's an assurance, because we really have a lot to get into. So we have a longer period then for us to look into these other issues. We've not even looked into the speech that Gachagua and Ruto met this weekend about the prayers tomorrow, whether we can fix the economy through prayers or what really needs to happen for things to start taking in the economy. I'll be calling you back again so we can get into this. Take them back to the time that they joined us live here on Lookuptv across all your social media platforms online at Lookuptv. I am at Kiaga Simba. We take a tiny breather. Once we come back, Ian Kitani and I will be coming back with exactly what is trending today and the bigger stories that we're focusing on through our newsroom diary. Good morning.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior